Hello and welcome to another episode of the Destiny Truthcast. This is episode 56. I am Lost Souls, joined today as always by RedWingGirl. How are you today, RedWingGirl?
I'm doing good, Souls. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's kind of a pleasant day here today. It was 108 degrees here yesterday with like total humidity, so it's not like the depths of hell today, so it's better.
Alexa just told me it's 67, so I'm good.
See, you should have asked on mic so we could have heard that confirmation.
Yeah, she's being a little quiet today.
So is Alexa learning anything? Does she know what Destiny 2 is yet, or is she still in the dark?
She's still in the dark. She's not very bright. I've spent a lot of time trying to get the skills up on Alexa, and it's kind of a pain.
We have two guests with us today. We've got a returning guest, our good friend Tim of Tacoma. How are you today, Tim?
Doing awesome, thanks.
And we are very excited to have a new guest. The one, the only, the uber-talented KobOneArt is joining us today. How are you, Kob?
Hey guys, I'm doing really good. I appreciate the invite. Excited to be here.
We're excited to have you on. So real quickly, I want to give a shout out to ProYunk. He was supposed to be with us today. And has he ever actually made it on an episode, RWG, or has he had a calamity every time?
I think that he made it on early in the show, like before I came on board. I thought he had come on, but not since I've been on, I don't think.
Well, ProYunk's been supposed to be on a few times. Once he was unable to connect because of iPhone. Another time he couldn't connect with his streaming setup, and then he's supposed to be on today, and their AC went out, and it's over 100 here in Missouri, so they had to go to his parents for the weekend. And he messaged this morning he was going to try to go back to the 100-degree house with no AC and try to tough it out. And the storms last night knocked out their power and knocked down his fence. So he spent the morning chasing the dog that got out, got it back. But yeah, poor Yunk can't ever seem to make it on. So Yunk, hopefully one day it happens. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like someone wants him to join. But real quickly, Tim, if you could, I don't know if we were doing it the last time you were on, just let the community know just a little bit about you.
Pretty much a day one player of Destiny. I live up in the Pacific Northwest, Tacoma, Washington, and pretty much obsessed over Destiny. That's pretty much all I play.
And you do something very interesting for a living. You educate kids with Legos.
Yeah, I own a Bricks for Kids, two of them, one in Tacoma and Olympia, and yeah, we do after-school enrichment programs and summer camps. I have 40 summer camps this summer, where kids get to play and build with Lego bricks and learn a little something about engineering. It's a pretty good job.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting listening to all the different classes or workshops that you put together for these kids. It's kind of funny. You're doing a Harry Potter one, right?
Yeah, the themes are pretty amazing. We have Harry Potter, Star Wars, Pokemon, Ninja Turtles, and then we also do robotics. The camp coming up this week will be stop-motion animation movie making. It's one of my favorites. So, yeah, pretty cool.
That's really awesome. And, you know, it's cool to have that interaction and teaching kids like the robotics and all that you can do with it. And it's just pretty amazing the things that you can do in this Lego world nowadays. You know, when we were kids, you know, I know we've talked about it. I would just make a little car out of Legos, and my brother would, and we'd smash them together and see who's stayed in the most pieces. So it's a different world today.
Yeah, we kind of still have a little bit of that. Kids will always tend to want to crash into each other and destroy things. We just add some lessons on top about force and momentum and, and kinetic energy. So it's a good way to turn all that stuff positive.
So when you play Destiny, how do you like to play? What do you main, and what type of player are you?
I'm main Warlock. I tend to like the Voidwalker better, Space Magic, all that. I play all three classes, though. I used to not play the Hunter. I didn't play the Hunter at all year two. And I like to, I guess I like scout rifles, but I've started to really like hand cannons more often. So, and I used to hate Crucible, but now I really love it.
And do you see yourself rolling forward into Destiny 2 as a warlock still, or have your we'll get into the beta a little bit later, but just from what you've played, do you see yourself starting out Destiny 2 as a warlock, or do you like what you've seen in other classes where you're considering starting on something else?
I actually like everything that I've seen in the beta as far as the different classes, so I could really see enjoying the Titan and the Hunter quite well, but man, that Dawnblade is a lot of fun. So I think I'm probably going to start off maining the Warlock again.
Yeah, I loved the Dawnblade at the actual reveal event, but I've been really surprised with the beta so far that the Hunter and the Arcstrider in particular has really got me looking to where I'm probably going to be a Hunter this go round. But also joining us today, we have, again, KobOneArt, and it's just pretty incredible to have you on and finally get to actually talk when we know who you are, because, again, we met you at the reveal and talked to you a couple times there and at the after party. So it's good to be here and talk a little Destiny again today.
Dude, yes, I feel the same way. Just playing the farm today was super exciting, and the reveal and Guardian Con, it's just been a crazy year for me, for a lot of people, but yeah, just a great time to be alive as a Guardian.
So I think probably most people know who you are, but for those who might not, just tell the community just a little bit about yourself and what you do within the Destiny community.
Sure. I go by Cob1. That goes back to my graffiti days. I used to paint graffiti murals, spray paint. I do a lot of Destiny artwork in the community since, I don't know, September of 2014. I'm not an alpha, but a beta player, early on, and I just started doing drawings that I liked from Destiny. I thought it was cool, and a friend of mine told me I should put it on Reddit, and so that kind of exploded, and kind of got me to where I'm at today. But I just love the universe of Destiny, and illustrating it. It's just so vast and infinite, it seems.
So what kind of character do you like to play the most, and what kind of guns do you use?
Everything that Tim said, I can kind of echo. It was kind of funny. It almost sounded like me talking at first. At heart, I'm Warlock Master Race. That's what I started with. And I played all three in the original beta and tested them out. And I was like, I kind of like that Slovabomb, being able to throw that thing, at a distance, kind of ranged. So I did 3 Warlocks for all of year 1. And year 2, when I saw the Titan for, was it Taken King coming out with the flame hammers, I was like, okay, I'm killing one of these to make a Titan. And then, we used to joke about hunters in my clan and stuff, and, I was never, really against them, but never for them. So I finally made a hunter, and I really enjoyed them in PvP. And now in Destiny 1, I'm kind of spread between all 3. But at heart, I'm Warlock Master Race, and totally going into Destiny 2 with that Dawnblade. It is just, I love that thing. The other ones are fun too, though. I'm having fun in the beta, so yeah. The guns I like, I'm an auto rifle kind of a guy, so Suros is near and dear to my heart. That was my first exotic ever, so I've stuck with auto rifles. Even in PvP, when they were kind of trashy, I would hop between those and hand cannons. Man, I've never really been a Pulse fan, but man, that Nergal or whatever and Nightshade on the beta are just nastiness. Those and the hand cannons, so yeah, having fun with that.
So what do you think about the Warlock Nova now? I mean, when I played PvP, I kind of fell back to what I like in Blink, and so I used Blink in the Void. What did you think of the giant ball?
I'm going to be honest, and I was highly disappointed with that. It was dubbed in my clan the Slovabomb, and that's all we call it now, the Slovabomb. I had a dude fly above me. I was capping a point on control, and he literally flies above me, launches the ball down at me, and I had time to go, oh, the Nova Bomb, and fly away from it, and it was in no danger at all. And now I've seen that thing track all kinds of craziness and attack people, but when I seem to throw it, it's just a big fat ball of goo that wants to fly to the nearest wall and explode and do nothing. So a little disappointed because I'm a Void Walker at heart. That's been my favorite class in Destiny 1 with that, because I used to specialize in cross-map Nova bombs and really spreading the saltiness, but I don't foresee that with the Slovabomb. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that.
So I just saw your picture release that you did of the 3 profiles of the Hunter, the Titan, and the Warlock, and that's really badass. I was watching your Twitch a couple days ago and kind of listening to your groovy sound. You have some really cool music going on in the background, and your attention to detail. It's like when you think you're finished kind of doing it, you like go through again with like different kind of colors and shades, and so it was really interesting to watch. I actually never sat down and watched somebody draw for that bit of time, so it was really interesting how you kind of did it. So what made you decide to kind of go to Twitch and do it as a reveal? Have people watch you draw, because you have quite a few people that actually watch you draw every day.
Yeah, it's something I was always kind of asked. People would DM me, do you have a YouTube where you kind of do tutorials or time lapses or things? And I'd always be like, no, it's kind of in the plans. And when IG Instagram Live happened, I got myself a little phone mount thing. I was like, I'll start just live streaming art and kind of seeing. And I got a lot of good feedback. And I would ask people, if I started a Twitch, would you watch me over there? Oh yeah, So I basically have always had that in the back of my mind, but I wanted to kind of get through the reveal and to get through Guardian Con and then focus on my Twitch. So I've only been streaming about a month now, and I'm right around 400 followers, and I'm pushing close to 20 subs already, which is just phenomenal. So I just have fun with it. I have a producer background. I've been making music since 1998, mainly hip-hop, sample-heavy tracks. Not so much anymore since my art took over, but yeah, so I love Twitch. I'm very personable, so I love interacting with people when they come in. I love answering questions, like, trying to give people advice if they ask for anything, because I had a lot of encouragement as a young artist from my family and things, so I feel like anyone that DMs me questions, I always, get back with them and stuff. But yeah, Twitch is just a cool way of me connecting with people like that. And I've had good feedback. A lot of people have said it's very calming. They go in there because I play these really lo-fi chill, like chill hop beats, they kind of call them, like very jazz oriented or just really laid back beats. So it kind of makes for a good backdrop to the art. And some people told me it's calming just to watch, the drawing and stuff, and I love it. I love interacting with people while I draw. I'm going to draw anyways, so why not put it out there and let people enjoy it too? And people tell me it inspires them to draw themselves, and that right there just hits me in the feels every single time. That's all I could ever ask for as an artist,
It's something that I know we discussed a little bit just talking before, that I've seen your art for a long time and always thought it was incredible. Didn't realize until Jay Howard, who was on last week, had posted a picture that we had met you. But I followed you on Twitter, and it popped up when you started streaming, hey, KobOne is doing a stream. And so I went, and that first day you guys were playing some Destiny and watched you playing PvP and stuff. And then the next day I watched again, and you were drawing. And you've got the whole Cobb Ross thing going, first of all, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, and that emote just got approved yesterday. Like, I'm in drawing and in chat, all of a sudden, I got a new sub, and he just started posting it, and I'm like, what? And the whole chat just erupted with big Cobb Ross afros. So that was my first sub emote. So yeah, that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, and anyone that grew up watching like the Bob Ross painting, it's really kind of that modern day experience and something pretty unique, taking that and kind of updating it to the 2017s and with Twitch and with Destiny, which, we discussed last week, has some of the greatest art being created probably in the world is by people creating Destiny art, with yourself, with Varian, TR Illustrates, Monkus. I mean, there's all this incredible art being created.
So many good artists in the community. It's just insane.
And all so unique, and everyone's got their own style, but to watch it be created, like RWG said, with the chill music playing, anyone out there that, you know, is listening, if you could tell them, you know, where you're at to find you on Twitch, it's worth checking out, and it's something really unique. It's not the sweaty PvP matches or anything that you know you'd expect to find watching Destiny being streamed. It's the creation of art, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate that, Souls. I'm pretty much KobOneArt on everything, like all together, KobOneArt. That's Instagram is where a majority of my art lives, because that's where it kind of started. Twitter, I post there too. That's a good place to follow me to see when I go live. But yeah, Twitch is KobOneArt, and I've recently started taking my entire 2.5-hour Twitch broadcast of an art piece start to finish, and I'm time-lapsing them 64 times the speed. So it literally shrinks that entire 2.5 hours to 2.5 minutes. So you can watch the creation start to finish of any of your favorite pieces now on my YouTube, which is also KobOneArt. I'm at 5, I think, right now. I'm actually uploading a Titan one in the background as we speak, but I'm trying to get all of my past broadcasts, which are still available to watch on Twitch as well, time-lapsed, so folks can watch it start to finish. And it's kind of cool watching it come to life really fast. Kind of for myself personally, I like it's interesting watching how my brain kind of tracks around, like where my thought process goes during the illustration. So yeah, those are available as well. I have an Etsy where I sell a lot of my Destiny prints, which is also KobOneArt, as well as Teespring, where I have original designs, such as my Brady Bunch shirt with all the raid bosses set up in the Brady Bunch style. So it's pretty funny.
I have not seen that. I'll have to check that one out. And anyone that is a fan of a good pun should check out your channel as well.
Definitely. The puns live there, and dad jokes. And they are highly encouraged in chat, so yeah.
So going to the Slovabomb and a little bit of Destiny 2 in the beta as we get into that, it's funny, we have a bunch of warlocks here today, RWG. How's that feel to suddenly be outnumbered for the first time ever at episode 56?
Well, when I signed in and everybody was signed in and I looked at my roster, everyone was blue or yellow and I was the only red. So it's funny how, you know, I'm kind of sticking with my main and I'm playing my Titan and no one is playing the Titan, and I don't really understand why, but I like the Titan. I think, you know, I like the shield. I like to be able to throw it because it reminds me a little bit of the sword, and I also like to do that barricade shield too in PvP, which I think is really kind of frustrating for some other Guardians, you know, but I just think it's kind of fun. I like the lightning, you know, the whole striker. You can just keep striking over and over and over. I mean, I think PvP, in PvP, I think it's pretty fun. The downside of it, though, is, you know, like for the Warlock, I kind of just like blink. You know, I mained, or not mained, when I played the Warlock in D1, I liked blink. I used it for the Hunter and for the Warlock, so it's a little disappointing that it's not there for the Hunter, but, you know, it's fine. We'll just have to see how they make the adjustments and if there's some sort of better evade for the Hunter.
Yeah, the Titan for me, I haven't gotten the barricade down. I ran the strike on my Titan yesterday, predominantly to test weapons. I was testing Scout versus hand cannons and had the does not bow on my Titan, but I just the barricade can't keep me alive. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I die on my Titan just constantly. I'm constantly being rezzed. But going to the Warlock, the Slovabomb, yeah, something has to be done there, because it's funny. I've never really been big into the Void Warlock. I love my Sunsinger. I like the Dawnblade still because it's still got my beloved solar grenades and everything I love about the Sunsinger class with the new super. But I was really surprised how much I like the new Voidwalker particularly the ability to charge up the grenades, which to me was kind of a real game changer. And that's why it's so disappointing that the Nova bomb, that they changed it to the Slovabomb, because again, I mean, you throw it and all you have to do to evade it is just go around the corner and make it track into a wall, like the old truth rockets that were too aggressive. And if it wasn't for that, that might have been my favorite class, I think. What do you think, Cobb, of the charged up grenades on the Void class?
You know what's funny? I played that so much, and I kept doing oh yeah, there's that charged grenade thing, and I never once thought about it doing it. And even last night, somebody was like, oh yeah, it's pretty cool, I just did it. And I was like, oh yeah, and it was always this oh yeah moment. But anytime, I'm looking at my super bar, it's like, almost there. You're like foaming at the mouth for your super. So I never thought to go, oh, I should throw a OP grenade from this. So I haven't even experienced that yet. I'm looking forward to doing that later today. So
go ahead, RWG.
Well, I was just going to say they just extended the beta to the 27th, so I think we'll have some more time to actually go in and practice on some of that stuff. Hopefully, what would be really nice is if they could apply some of the fixes that they said that they wanted to do, because I think unfortunately for on the PvE side, you get your super once, twice, and that's really it. And you're thinking more about the damage that you can do on the boss, and so charging up grenades seems sort of undervalued for what we're normally used to. And it's sort of it's kind of mind memory, like you're just not used to having to do this charge up with your grenade. You should usually just throw it, and whatever happened from that, and then you move on to shooting things. But what was everyone's kind of play on the whole double primary? Tim, what did you think about it?
I've been playing around with it a lot, trying to work on different combinations. It doesn't feel it's different. It doesn't feel as bad to me because if I can pick a longer range and shorter range combination, and I can make either the kinetic or the energy be either one of those things. So I actually think there's maybe a little more flexibility than people giving it credit for. Losing a sniper or something is a little tougher, not being able to have a sniper and a rocket launcher or something like that. But it's definitely not as flexible as Destiny 1. I just think we're going to have to get used to it and rise to the challenge a little bit. But I think if you play around with the combinations a little bit, I think you might find some combinations you like. That's how I feel.
What have you been using? What have you kind of gravitated towards as your setup?
Well, lately, it actually kind of depends on my class, and I'm still experimenting around with it, but sidearms are still awesome. And so they make a great short-range weapon. I cannot get the hang of it. Some people really love those submachine guns. I can't get the hang of them. I'd really rather have a sidearm. I still think they're better for short range. I like them better than submachine guns. And then I agree that the Nurgle pulse rifle is really awesome, and it's got really good range. And then I also agree the hand cannons are really, really bossy. So I like a hand cannon with some range and kind of a sidearm, which is almost this current meta in Destiny, but it gives me the flexibility I need. And then I can switch around whether my kinetic is a sidearm or my energy is a sidearm, depending on what I need for energy. So that's kind of what I've been doing lately.
That needle is pretty vicious, that sidearm. I was also looking at that. If you notice, if you inspect it, doesn't it look like a dingy old Future War Cult weapon? Like maybe it's one from the, Destiny 1 days or something that they dug up or found. It's kind of got that beat up look to it.
Yeah, I noticed some of the guns look kind of rough. It does kind of give that appearance.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
What did you guys think of the exotics? I mean, I kind of thought that the Titan exotic machine gun was, or not machine gun because we don't have machine guns anymore. The auto rifle kind of gun. It's okay, but it runs out of bullets pretty quick. So it's kind of sucks for PvE because you generally don't really see a lot of drops in ammo, so you run out.
Yeah, and that thing, you had to start getting it spun up before you even turned a corner on some guys, because if you try to start a firefight by pulling it, you were done. I thought that one was okay. The machine gun one, I never could get it to proc with the lightning or whatever it was talking about, like Zalo. And I agree with Tim. I tried those and I wanted to like them because they look so cool, but man, they're just squirrely. I just couldn't use them. So yeah, I was definitely a whatever the scathe lock. I was tearing it up with that. That's not an exotic though, the auto rifle, but the Sunshot I thought to me was the star of the 3 exotics when I used it. That was really cool, blowing people up. I even got a couple collat kills where the guy like detonated and blew up the dude next to him, so that was cool.
Well, I was going to say I did get the Risk Runner arc machine gun. I did get that to proc. Interestingly, the Vex Milk I think is arc, because if you touch that, it charges that thing up. So I was able to get that to proc like a little Zalo supercell, but it's pretty situation specific.
So what was your overall take on the new weapon system, Cobb? What did you think about the double primaries and losing the special heavy to 1 combined?
I actually liked it a lot. There were times where I'd have a minuet in one slot, and then the Better's Devils or whatever it was, the other hand cannon, and I felt like a gunslinger gangster running in there with 2 hand cannons. But I also like the fact of, if I'm running an auto rifle and I'm in a firefight and I DPS them down to like a quarter health, and then I'm like, oh shit, I got to reload, I can instantly flip to my backup and bam, 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 finish the job. So that in itself is cool. The whole power thing, I'm with Tim on the snipers. I kind of miss being able to flip and get that sniper off in the distance, real quick with the ammo. But I don't know, the power thing, it kind of stretches everything out and makes it a little more valuable. It's a little more thought into where you're placing your shot and or your super, since everything is so slow to spawn. And on that topic, the whole regen thing, like, I get it. It makes for a better gunplay, like in certain PvP matches, but I think that's what it should be, certain PvP matches. I don't think that should be the meta, because, part of my love for Destiny is I'm a fucking space magician. Like, I can throw Nova bombs all over the place or do whatever. Like, don't take that away from me too much now, because then you're turning it to a spacey Call of Duty or something. Like, we need that. The magic. We need our supers in there. If you're going to stretch it down, at least 2 per match, because you barely get 1 now, and it's kind of bugs a little bit, but whatever.
Well, something RWG said to me about this, I think the day before yesterday, was, we're going from Destiny 1 where we have Mayhem, and we just had a Mayhem Iron Banner where it's nothing but supers, to all of a sudden, not getting a super for 7.5 minutes, which is really, really crazy.
Yeah, it really put the damper on things, for sure. I mean, my perspective of it is, and I've made it pretty clear, I don't like the new gun setup. I think it's very restrictive. I went into one strike I decided to get a shotgun, because of the dogs and everything and all that stuff that kind of comes at you in that one part. And I thought, well, maybe I'll get like 12 or 15 bullets and I'll just go in there and take out a bunch of dogs and just see how the shotgun works. And I got 4 bullets. I mean, who's going to give up a grenade launcher or some kind of heavy weapon for 4 bullets and a shotgun? I mean, it just doesn't even seem like the trade-off is even worth it. And I'm a huge fusion rifle fan, so for me to lose the fusion rifle to something a little bit more powerful just doesn't seem like the trade-off is worth it. So I don't like having to be able to be so restricted. And even if you wanted to go through the fusion rifle for a couple, whatever, shots, but then you wanted to switch to a rocket launcher or something, you lose your stuff. So I know they've already said that they're going to make changes for the heavy weapon and have heavy drop more, and they're going to speed up the supers a little bit. And I also am aware that we're playing some older generation of this beta, and this really isn't the what the game is going to be like. But I just kind of feel like for the beta purposes, for them to do testing on how guns play out and how how the servers are adapting to having this many players go into a game, and I understand their purposes of the beta, but I think as a person just going into the game, for me, having played D1, I just think this is awful. I mean, I just don't want to play a strike for the next 3 years, just rotating back and forth with a couple primaries and just picking away at the boss. I don't think that is creative. It doesn't make me feel powerful. I don't feel like I'm, really going in there. I mean, I like to go in there and cause chaos and get right into the enemy's faces. And I tried doing that in this one, and it wasn't happening. So I don't mind adjusting play style to approach certain things, but now I just kind of feel like I just need to stay back and kind of just go through the motions of picking things off, and then, I just don't think it's as fun as D1 at all. I really just don't understand why that whole special slot got moved down to the heavy, and if it's because of PvP, then that's a big problem, because we in PvE play completely different than we do in PvP.
So this has been probably the toughest thing for me from the beta, because we play together, and one thing that we've always talked about is the huge social aspect of this game. We've all of us here today met through Destiny. We're in different parts of the country, and here we are in this place and time because of a game that has brought us together. And so Cobb, URWG, and I have all met in person because of this game. But so RWG, we play all the time, and so it's hard for me playing, because it bums me out that this is your experience with the beta. But I get where you're coming from completely, and it sucks because for me, I've had the complete opposite experience. For me, I love the new system, and it's really opened things up for me. In all of 3 years of playing Destiny 1, I probably have maybe 40 kills with a hand cannon in PvP. My first Destiny 2 PvP kill was a hand cannon. And, it's just the ability to still have this amazing pulse rifle with the Nurgle, or Cobb, what was the other one?
The Nightshade, the other pulse?
Yeah, the Nurgle and the Nightshade, these amazing pulse rifles that, going back to D1, we played with Yunk some trials the other day, and I'm using the hopscotch, and then I'm switching back and forth, going through primary after primary, and I'm just like, man, I really want a fucking Nurgle right now. That's all I want, And, but to have that, and then be able to have a hand cannon as my secondary, and it's just really opened up this whole nother world for me within Destiny, because all of a sudden, hand cannons are my favorite weapon in the game, which were my absolute least favorite in Destiny 1. And so I'm loving it. The Sunshot hand cannon is like Icebreaker and Mida rolled into a hand cannon, watching everything just explode, and then the amazing stagger it has, it's incredible. And then being able to combine that with a pulse rifle, is something incredible. But then again, RWG, I understand where you're coming from, because you're someone that, when you played, really used your heavy weapons and your snipers and your fusion rifles, and used everything to its fullest, where I was more of a primary player in D1. So it's tough, and I don't know what the solution to that is. We've talked about it. I think something they could do, one thing they need to do, is definitely up the ammo on, say, the shotguns, the sniper rifles, because it's kind of ridiculous to get 4 shots on a sniper or 4 shots on a shotgun, when we were looking at 14 rounds on a sniper in D1, and I never used shotguns, but I'm assuming they were probably 8 to 14 as well. And if it's PvP, driven, then make the PvP ammo, less. I don't see why they can't just make it where in PvP you start with less ammo for these weapons. But in PvE, when you get a shotgun, you should have ammo to be able to actually get kills. When you get a sniper rifle, maybe not the 14 of Destiny 1, where everyone's just sitting back and sniping a boss for 14 shots, but, give people at least 8 to 10. 4 is ridiculous.
Well, I think the fact that you're just committed to settle on 8 to 10 when we had like 30 at one point, and it's just gone down from, there, and now we're just like happy to get 8 is what I find sort of depressing. Like, their solution, I guess, is that they're just going to dumb down the enemy number, like the boss won't be as high, so we'll be able to take him down faster. Well, it's not about taking him down faster with a primary. It's about all the cool ways that you can just like do it with a sniper or machine gun or whatever, while you're doing other things. And for me, so I was hoping that what they would do is like what they did in Halo 2, where you could double wield guns, like have 2 hand cannons or like an auto rifle and a hand cannon, but then just left the special where it was and then the heavy where it was. The whole combination of special and heavy to me is what turns me off. So it's not going to matter like what they do in terms of ammo drops and enemy level or anything like that. It's just what matters to me is that we've not expanded on those 3 different types of weapons. We've actually reduced them down. That's my whole thing on it. Not just that, I have 2 cool guns. I mean, yes, that's great, but, what about the rest of the stuff that I really liked in Destiny?
To your point, Red, now that PvP is all 4v4, the maps are probably all going to be kind of close-up maps. The only 2 that we've had so far are close-up maps. But that's one of the reasons they said they go 4v4 is they can make the maps, all the maps can be designed for that setup. So it seems like maybe it won't matter as much. We won't have to select a long-range or short-range gun based on the map. You'd select it more on your play style. Do you think that makes a difference?
Well, I mean, with the shotgun and a fusion rifle, you could get more close in, and if you had a hand cannon, or I would use a long range like a pulse or something like that. But now it's just pulse and hand cannon. I mean, that's it, and forget about everything else, and so that you can kind of cover your bases on everything. I think the PvP plays really well. I like it. I like, it. I don't know about the 1v1 trade-off kill. I think that sort of kind of defeats the purpose. I mean, basically it's just grab your auto rifle and team kill, and that's basically how you're going to win. And, that's sort of unfortunate for solo players, unless they sort of kind of coordinate with the rest of the people on the team. It's just kind of a stalemate in every case, unless, you have players that kind of just want to go out and do their own thing. The benefit of 6v6 is that, you could kind of be one of those guys that could kind of go rogue and flank and, maybe take a couple people out really quick or whatever for the team and, get multi-kills. But, in this case, I don't really see that happening as much. So, it's a different play style. I never really liked the 4v4 in Halo, and I kind of feel like this is kind of the same thing. So it's just kind of how you like to play PvP. I mean, the bigger disappointment is like what we've discussed before, like after a raid or something or whatever, you want to get in with your team and play PvP. I mean, we had that problem on the first day. We all kind of broke up, did our strikes, and then we're like, okay, well, let's like play PvP, but 2 of us couldn't play. And that to me is where, it just harkens back to the Skolas days when, you just had to like only come down to 3 players, and that I thought really hurt a lot of friends on friends lists that had bigger teams, and especially for us, we've been playing for 3 years doing raids, and now we're going to kind of be like, okay, well, now that we're done with the raid, I guess we'll just split off and play PvP on separate teams, and that to me is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. I think I don't know if we'll ever get used to that, because even when you were a 6-man fire team and you would go into some 3-man activity, you could still break into 2 groups and still, complete the activity. Now you have to go get additional people or you lose a couple of people. So that is definitely not conducive to keeping groups together. I think that's a real problem.
I was really hoping for a 6-man patrol, like exploring the vast newness of everything. And I agree with the PvP numbers. I'm really got my fingers crossed that there's a 6, optional. Maybe when Iron Banner comes around, it'll be 6v6 or something. Or Trials is going to be a little weird, 4v4, weird feeling. I mean, but Countdown in a way almost feels like you play it kind of Trials-ish already. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm a little on the fence about everything with that.
Well, it's funny, like, when we were sitting there at the Destiny reveal event, everything was just incredible, except when they said all of PvP will be 4v4. And, we were sitting there right in front of you, Cobb, and I know RWG and I looked at each other and said, what the fuck? And our immediate reaction after we did a little quick mini episode and we're discussing things after, and it was like, 4v4, this is really going to kill, again, as RWG said, these teams that have played together. And it's just really weird that you have this dynamic where you have 3s for the patrol, the 6s for the raids, and then the 4s for the PvP. And there's just no symmetry to any of it. And so my hope is that they put in at least a sixes playlist, kind of like they did with the classic playlist in D1, where it could pop up as Control or it could be Clash or whatever, that they do something similar where at least 6s could go in and get a random game type and play together. Because again, day one it was making us split up, and it's something that for a game that they're integrating the clan functionality into, they're telling you to join up with other players, and the immense social impact this game has had, even without functionality built into the actual game that they're starting to do. It just seems like such a backward step to make teams break up after running an activity like a raid and not be able to continue. Who knows, maybe there will be, some kind of like Archon Forge type PvE event where a team of 6 can go in or something like that. But there needs to be more than just a raid. Players that are there, doing that should be able to leave that activity and still stay together and do other parts of the game. And I'm with you, Cobb, about the 6-player patrols would have been. It would have been.
Well, we don't know. They may still have it. They may, introduce that, or there may be something that you can do besides a raid with six players. I mean, when Archon Forge came out, we were glitching in all of our friends. There may be a way to work around it, but it just goes to show that people really wanted those bigger things, and I'm not sure why they've been so resistant to do it. But we did talk to them about it, and they're really stuck on 4v4. It plays better, I think. There's less lag. I think their maps have been built for it, and I don't see them introducing 6v6. So I'm wondering if a lot of people will be like, okay, well, let's jump back on D1 and play some Crucible.
So to the whole 4v4 and the experience, and I want to get to after this to just everyone's just overall take on the beta and what has worked and what hasn't. But to the Crucible and the 4v4, it is fun. And when we've played it, it seems like the teams that play together, it's all about the team shooting. So if you have a team that knows each other and you communicate, you can do well. I've had some really good games in Destiny 2 PvP. I probably average double the kills per game that I do in Destiny 1. But that said, I really have serious questions about the longevity of Destiny 2's PvP because it is so focused on fireteams. And there's posts up on the BNet forums right now. Please make a playlist for just solo players where you can't queue as a fireteam, because Destiny 2 is really going to punish solo players. You will not be able to go into Destiny 2 and as a lone wolf have the impact on a game that you could have in Destiny 1. So just your thoughts, start with you, Cobb, just your thoughts on the 4v4 and your experience with it and how you think it compares versus Destiny 1, and if you think that it's something that is sustainable within Destiny 2.
I don't know, that's a tough one. It definitely feels a little foreign. Sustainability, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm with you guys, you and Red, like at the show, I had the same exact feeling. That was the only point during the whole time where it was like, what? Did he just say everything? And then your first thought was, oh, trials, even trials? But I don't know, like, I have a pretty large clan, LOD, shout out to the Legion of Doom. So we have a lot of players, and there's nothing that, like, ticks me off more than a game that professes, hey, join us in this community, play with your friends, and then you all get on the game, and you got to form 3 or 4 different, separate groups to do similar activities if you're lucky, a la Battlefield. That'd be like, all right, we've got a party here, we've got a party, everybody ready, okay, launch at the same time, hope we get in the same game, go. Like, I don't know, does feel like a step backwards, like you're restricting the amount of people that can play, and then sometimes we're forced to play private matches where we can now we're going to have to do it to do 4v4, if we have more people on or something, and don't get me wrong, that's fun, private matches can be really fun, but you get the drops in the other mode that are a little bit better, and I don't know.
Well, there's not even going to be private matches in D2 when it launches, though. That's the problem there.
What? Are you serious?
There's no private matches at launch. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, very restrictive then. Like we're, God. Yeah, it's going to be big parties of people, and then you're going to be doing 2 separate things in the same game, like staying in the same chat party, and it's just, I don't know. The more the merrier, the way I feel.
Well, something RWG tweeted out and never got an answer was she was asking, I think tweeted to maybe Hamrick the other day, asking if we went in with a fire team of 6 to at least the, there's the competitive and the, what's the other one? The,
quick play.
Yeah, the quick play. If we went in with a fire team of 6 to the quick play, if maybe it would at least, let you go in and put 2 of the players randomly on the other team, which could lead to players not really trying or whatever. But, I think that could still be an option where it would be fun, and at least you're all there together, and, 2 of you are playing on the other team against you randomly. But give us something at least where you can stay together.
Well, I mean, the problem that I have in most of everything that we've seen in D2 has been a product of, or a loss to PvE. I think that's why they've made these gun changes, and that's really going to affect PvE. And I, we saw it happen through all of Destiny, and it got to the point where it got really bad in Destiny 2 or Destiny 1, and they had to keep, adding a little bit more for PvE to compensate for the losses, that PvP was giving us. And I kind of feel like, but at least that they were trying to, make things balanced. So I'm hoping that in this case for PvE, it's going to be a little bit more compensated. But man, they're focused so much on PvP. I mean, it's so evident in D2. It's just about the PvP and how things work together. And I think that's where they think, most of the people spend their time. But they claimed, at the reveal, like all these things that you're going to be able to do in PvE, they're going to have all these events going on and dungeons and, I mean, I'm not even counting the raid, just like all of this stuff. But if we can only do it with just 3 of us, that's just going to get kind of old too. And if we can't only, find one more person to go into PvP if we get done with PvE, I just think it's going to burn itself out. I mean, I saw this happen with Skolas, and it really wrecked a lot of fire teams because there wasn't a raid that had 6 players. And if you guys remember, that's what broke up a lot of teams, was the move from 6 to 3. And I kind of feel like the same thing is happening now. Like they're going from 6 to 4, and I don't know. I don't know why they keep doing this.
What about you, Tim? What's been your take on the fours, and do you think it's something that is sustainable within Destiny 2?
Yeah, would just be piling on to say the same stuff. So I agree with everything. It would make more sense if patrols and other activities were 4-player. Then it would make sense. You can go on patrol, go into Crucible, and then if you had to get a raid, okay, grab a couple more people. I mean, if you're going to stick with the 4v4, why not make the other activities 4-player based? So it's going to be weird to go from 6 to 3 to 4. That's going to be a pain. That's going to be a mess. The gameplay itself, just that aside, I had no problem with playing 4v4 in Crucible. I didn't see any problems with that. I don't have any complaints. It's just Crucible. It's no big deal. And having the maps be consistent would be nice, not to have, oh my God, this map's too big for this rift. I got to carry 47 miles to dunk it. Yeah, I think that's actually going to be better. But unfortunately, it's not in a vacuum. That's, as you said, Sol, this is a social game. So this is not conducive to the social experience. And to be fair, certainly the PvP complaints are probably 10-1 over PvE complaints. I mean, if you listen to the complaining to Bungie on forums and stuff, it's been mostly about imbalance in PvP and not nearly as much in PvE. So Bungie seems like they're reacting to that, and maybe they've gone too far.
Well, a couple things. To what you're saying about, again, going to the 4 players in PvP, the 6 players in the raid, the 3 players in fireteams on patrol, I think that is something that really needs to be talked about and addressed, because, again, with that inconsistency, when you're going from patrol to PvP, you have to find another player. If you're going from PvP to patrol, someone has to fuck off, and, going from raids to, PvP, 2 people have to fuck off. And, that's why I was really surprised that they didn't at least up the fireteams for patrol to 4-player and for strikes and whatever, because at least it would have been consistent with the new PvP, and teams could stay together. You could all go run your strike, you could all go run your patrol, go into PvP. But the 4-3 it just doesn't make any sense, and it's just so jarring, and again goes against what this game is at its strongest. And anyone can say what they want about what they love about Destiny. You can be the most hardcore PvP player, the most sweaty trials player, the ultimate raider, whatever you are, however you love to play the game. What makes this game go is the interactions you have with other players and the relationships you make. And that is what has so many people invested, where players will just sit in the tower, running circles for hours, just with friends, jumping around in circles. But you're there in your character in a social space, and you're together. And so it doesn't really matter. I mean, and RWG and I talk about this a lot, about what we get out of the game, why we're there. She's there trying to get her tier 12 or maximize her character, and she's very she's a very hardcore player, as far as she's trying to get the best rolls and the best weapons. And for me, I'm more casual, and for me it's just more the experience of just being there with the friends. And I really don't give a shit if something drops. I haven't emptied my postmaster in 5 months. I'll pull out something occasionally. I just let shit delete. I don't go and spend my glimmer or my marks. They've been capped forever. I'm just there to play with whatever, a strike or a raid or PvP with my friends. And so all these changes that they're making with the structure, with the team sizes, that's something that's going to affect that tremendously. And again, when we played the beta that first day, we're sitting there, and we're in a group with our friends. Tim, you were there, RWG, and 2 of our other friends. And we're like, well, maybe we could all go in and someone just sits out every game and just rotate someone sitting out. and one of our friends just left so 4 of us could run instead. But you shouldn't have to make that compromise to play this game. And I hope Bungie understands that and is listening. Go ahead, RWG.
Well, I hear the passion that you're talking about with the whole team differences, and but I kind of feel the same way about the weapons, and I'm not going to rant about it because I just feel like it's a done deal. This is the way it's going to be, and I'll make the adjustments. But all of these things will have consequences, and if you want to talk about replayability, I mean, it's just going to be, after a while, you're not going to want to grind out stuff, because it'll be really uncomfortable to have a friend leave, or by that time when you're ready to have more friends arrive, they'll be already in another thing. So I think in this case, guided games is going to be necessary because, unless you're in a big clan where you have 100 people that are all kind of just waiting around for you to do a raid together with, or, if they're doing PvP activities, in my case, I only have, 6 people that I generally run with and do the raids and then do PvP with, and if those people will get broken off, and some people just say, well, we haven't played in a while because I haven't really been able to join your 4v4 team, I think it's just going to inevitably change how your friend lists are made up of, and who will be the one that you can invite in and things like that. I just think it's going to change the dynamics of how people will play together going forward. Sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. I don't know, but you're passionate about the social aspect of the game, and I'm more passionate about the actual game and the mechanics of the game. And we still don't really know how all this is going to work. We have to actually play the game, but I was hoping that the beta was going to be like the beta that we played at the reveal, and I felt a lot more powerful in the reveal. So maybe this will be, you remember when we had the golden gun, the golden gun, we got off like 9 shots or something crazy, and this one, it's kind of like you only have a couple, and they're really fast. So I think they're going to change some things up. We might see a little bit better gunplay and more options, and who knows what the new guns are going to be like. But one thing I noticed, and this could have been intentional, was there was no engrams. The only rewards that you got were at the end of the game, and that to me was kind of like, oh. So are we going to have materials? Are we going to have like things that we can break down? I noticed that we had like shards up in the right corner. I don't know how those probably breaking down, armor or something, but it didn't seem like there was any materials in this game.
Yeah, I think that it's just that's just a function of the demo, because there is we went to the farm today and there will be the Cryptarch there. I just think that because of the demo, they're just dropping rewards. But I completely understand RWG, and like I said, that's the hardest thing for me with all this. And it is tuned differently from what we played at the Destiny reveal event. 100%. The boss is way, way, way longer to kill. Like, it was very dynamic at the reveal event. You weren't sitting there running out of ammo, shooting him for 5 hours. You were shooting the boss, you were shooting the ads, and everything was dying and you were trying to stay alive. Here you're killing all the ads and then you're hiding behind a pillar for, 45 seconds, a minute, shooting him, until it spawns the next wave. So that's something that is different tuning 100%. But, Cobb, what's been your take as far as what have you liked about the beta the most, and what are your concerns with the beta, I guess?
I know something I did like was the addition of DPS quote kills, where maybe you didn't get the finishing off bullet, but you still get counted for the kill. It'll pop up and say defeated. I did like that. It kind of takes away or diffuses the people, oh, you stole my damn kill, because there's nothing worse than DPSing someone all the way down, and then you think you killed them, and you look over and it's someone else's name. So yeah, I did like that about it. The slowing supers was, I don't know, kind of a stuck in mud feeling sometimes. Like I said previously, you want to feel like a space lord magician, you know, like you want to feel powerful. You want those grenades and all that craziness going on. You don't want to push everything to straight gunplay. I mean, I understand it, you know, and it definitely makes it a more methodical, especially in a countdown. But I did I like the new control map that one. I'm partial to Venus because Shores of Time was my favorite on D1, but there wasn't a whole lot I had to say negatively. I was highly disappointed at the Novabomb. That was really one of the takeaways for me. Like that, I was like, man, you know. And I tried it a couple times, and it just, I couldn't do anything. I was just throwing this giant balloon that people were like waving at as it flew past them, you know, like fucking Guardian Day parade or some shit. So you know. Overall, I liked it. I liked the new sounds, the sound effects. I just love like the weapons sound more crispy and they feel that way. It just, I don't know. It's my takeaway.
What about you, Tim?
I was going to say this. By the way, the sound effects. Yeah, I think they pulled out some sound files from Halo 4 because a lot of those weapons sound like some of those Forerunner weapons. But yeah, I think Kob hit most of the stuff that I liked about it. I love the sound effects. The graphics are amazing. You know, the different special effects are amazing. I also noticed the defeated, you know, DPS kill thing. I really like that. So overall, I'm really, and I like most of the changes to the classes. I think, you know, the Sentinel and the Hunter supers and everything. I really like it a lot. I love the Warlock. If you get the Dawnblade, the way that you glide and can shoot, I love the fact that that's what that's set up for. Is you just jump in the air and start shooting, and everything's. It's like you have Icarus all the time. That's one of your abilities. So it's really fun to play that class. And I like the Crucible maps, and I've been having fun playing those. And I agree with you. I don't get the Novabomb. There must be something I'm missing about how to make that thing be cool, because I don't understand it. So don't have a lot of negative stuff to really say about it.
With the Novabomb, I seem to get all my kills with the little seekers that come out after it, and not anything with the bomb itself.
Yeah, I've gotten some good kills with it. If I throw it into, like on PvE, if I throw it in a group of enemies, I mean, it's just going to devastate everything around it, like no question. But I've shot that thing at the boss. It seems to not. It just refuses to track the boss. I've shot it, and it was go 6 inches from the boss's head and just keep going off into outer space. That doesn't work. And in PvP, I've seen a couple of videos where that thing's following people around. It never does that for me. So again, there must be something I'm missing, because it just seems to float by, and it seems like I just get lucky with it.
Yeah, the whole tracking thing, I saw the video too. I'm sure you guys saw that really popular one. I think Bungie may have retweeted it, but where the girl's laughing, she shoots it out, and it goes to the right, the guy runs under it to the left, the thing does a U-turn, comes all the way back, follows him, she starts running behind it, hooks around a turn, the thing turns, follows the guy, and finally blows up on him. And I'm like, is that a setting? Like, is that something I'm missing in the subclass menu? Like, so I go in there and everything is just, it's locked in. You can't, so I'm like, what am I doing wrong with the thing?
Yeah, I kind of, the whole skill tree thing is kind of like really dumbed down too. Like, there's some things that you just don't have any options for, you know, and if you're, like me, I was like always like really like focused on how I was setting up my tree on each class and each perk and everything, and now I just feel like with that combined with the armor, you know, and I realize that it's like really premature to talk about this stuff because things are obviously going to be changing, you know, as we get different types of armor and things of that sort, but I just thought like the skill tree was just really kind of restrictive, and that kind of bothered me too.
Well, it seems like there's going to be a PvP and a PvE skill tree with the clusters, and it seems like we've gotten pretty much all the PvE ones. Like with the golden gun, you know, we've got the 6 shots that are super fast super bar as far as it draining, whereas the other cluster that'll unlock will be the old 3 shots, but it'll have a much longer duration, which will be much more conducive to PvP. So, once we get these other clusters opened up, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. It definitely, will be, I think, a little more restrictive than D1. But the other thing with what we have is there's not a lot of detail in the game telling us how to use the abilities that we have to the maximum. The Arc Strider has been a revelation to me. I went into this beta fully expecting to be Warlock Master Race forever, the Dawnblade to be my favorite. Actually, I think the Void class more than the Dawnblade because of the charging grenades, which has shocked me. But what shocked me the most is that my favorite class has been the Arcblade. And I will 100% be rolling a Hunter when D2 drops, and I never in a million years would have thought that would be even a remote possibility. And I just love everything about it. But that super, it's so badass, but there's combos you can do with it, and there's nothing in the game that tells you how to do it. Like if you can do like a combo where it ends with a smash of the ground. There's another combo that shoots energy out in front of you, blasting enemies in front of you. But again, nothing in the game tells you how to do that. I don't know if that's something that will be in the actual release, or they just didn't think that they should put it in there. But to the abilities themselves and the charge rates, this is something RWG that, we've discussed with the talk of them moving everything to the power slot, the snipers, the fusions, and the effect that it's had. And the thing that I thought would offset that would be the abilities in our supers. And that's kind of been the other thing that's been kind of shocking to me about this beta, is that not only, are players adjusting to that and not having ammo to use for those power weapons when they have it, but then you have a 7.5 minute cooldown on your super. You have these insanely long cooldowns on your grenades. And so I think that's led to a lot of the complaints as well about people just feeling so just not powerful. And I fully expect when the game launches that the cooldowns that we see now will be nothing representative to endgame. Destiny 1, our cooldowns got lower as we progressed. I don't see a level 1 in Destiny 2 having the same cooldown as a level 20 or whatever it ends up being. But I don't know.
For a beta, you would kind of expect them to, kind of like really push all the coolest parts about what's going to be cool about your character. And I don't think this beta was really meant for, letting people experience the game. I think it was more about them testing the numbers and kind of getting feedback on the weapons. And when there's too much chaos, there's not enough focus on, what gun was working and how people were using it. And so that's all fine. And it could be that as we get more powerful or we rank up, there'll be weapons or armor that will speed up some of that process. But there hasn't been any indication that that's how it's going to go. But you have to imagine that if it's always going to be 7.5 minutes, in between supers, that they're going to speed that up because people are just going to complain about it. I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, I realize that this is a sequel, but if you've noticed, we only have 2 supers or 2 different types of, class supers or whatever, and we left with 3. So what happened to our third? Is that going to be a DLC? I mean, why aren't we starting out with the 3 normal ones, Arc, Void, and Solar? And, why aren't we getting introduced to a 4th kind of new energy or whatever? And so it's just kind of been really understated, and for us that are huge Destiny game players, we're kind of going in there expecting like this complete, or at least I was. My personal feeling is I was going to go in there and I was going to be like blown away again, like I was at the reveal, and every new super was going to be just cool as hell to try to use, but you never got a chance to use it. I mean, in PvP, quick team, you're lucky if you get one. And so you don't really know what the effects are unless you play like hundreds of games and, you experience each one in that way. So, this beta has just been sort of really understated. And, but at the end of the day, I think they can make all the changes to all of that stuff. I think they can reduce the enemy, which I think is kind of sad, and they can up our super abilities. But the gun exchange thing is going to be something that I'm not going to get past. The gun thing and the 6v6 thing for PvP is going to be a problem. I think that's going to be going forward, that they're not going to change.
The power ammo seemed to be plentiful through certain parts of that strike. I noticed where I just had too much I couldn't even pick up. So maybe that's how they're going to try to balance that. Just overdo the ammo drops or something, so you constantly have something in your power. Albeit small clips, but I don't know.
I
didn't see any of that. I had one brick, if I was lucky, of white, maybe of green, and I never saw purple.
It was kind of inconsistent.
Yeah, I had to look and see if I had some kind of perk on my gloves, because I was just getting tons throughout the strike. But I don't know, maybe that was just randomized or something.
Yeah, I had some strikes where it dropped on me a lot and some where I didn't drop at all. I went to the boss fight with like no power ammo. But they already said they were going to increase power ammo, and it would be from what I understood from like higher level guys. So as you kill the higher level guys, they would be dropping more of the power ammo. That was my interpretation. And they already said the cooldowns of the supers would be increased. So I think some of the major complaints we have, they've already said that's going to be fixed. And because it's pretty disappointing otherwise. And I was going to say one thing too about the perk tree. I also think it's going to be more. It's not going to be as flexible as D1, but I think it's going to be more flexible than some people think.
So, RWG, has there been any weapons that have stood out for you as far as the new weapons in Destiny 1? I know you're not happy with the way they've done it with the double primaries, but what do you think about the weapons themselves so far compared to what we saw in D1?
Well, I think obviously that pulse rifle, the Omelon pulse rifle, is awesome. Nurgle or whatever the heck it's called. I mean, that was because I'm a pulse rifle user, so for me that was like perfect. And I did move off my warlock because of it until it started to drop on my other characters. But it's just going to be one of those things where we'll just have to like test out all the new weapons. I didn't feel, except with the exception of the Hunter hand cannon, that was the only exotic that I thought was really good. Although I do use the auto rifle or machine gun or whatever that thing is that they give you for the Titan. I do use that, and it does burn through things. You just got to wind it up.
What about you, Kyle? Have you felt any difference between D2 weapons and D1?
I think it's kind of a combination of the way they feel plus the sound attached to them. It just gives it a overall fresh feeling for myself. But I just thought everything felt good. The auto rifles, that skate lock was pretty nasty, and I agree about the hand cannons. Like when they hit, they just felt like they were hitting like trucks. That sunshot, the minuet, I really liked the Suros one. And that Better Devils in the primaries, the top slot, that one was pretty good too. But yeah, that Nurgle PR4, and someone told me, online, yeah, the Nightshade's just as good, and I hadn't even used that, so I jumped to that, and it really is. It just doesn't have that elemental, or I don't know if quite the range, but yeah, I think that was my main go-to. So much so, it comes on the Warlock out the gate. But I've played on my Titan and my Hunter over and over, like hours, and I cannot get that gun to drop on them. So after so long, I'll be like, screw this, and jump back to my Warlock just to use that gun. But I've learned to use my hand cannons more on the hunter in the beta. But yeah, overall I really like the feel of the new weapons. The grenade launcher is trash though. Like, I cannot get a kill with that thing. I hit a guy 4 times in the chest running at me with grenades, and it still didn't kill the guy. So I don't know what's going on with that. But overall, I like them.
So what did you guys think about the character movement? I know for me, I thought the Titan jump was really, like, sluggish. Don't feel like I'm moving around as fast as I used to. What did you guys think about your character movement?
I agree. It felt a little bit slower. Hunter too felt a little more weighed down, kind of. But you know, I guess there could be armor or certain setups that we can put on to up our agility. So hopefully all that we can overcome that with settings. You know, since we were kind of just stuck in these concrete settings that they have. But I don't know. Hopefully there's armor or something that speeds us up. But yeah, I agree with you, Red Wing. I felt a little sluggish at times trying to do certain things. The Warlock glide is just insane. Like, you can fly way up, turn corners, and do all kinds of crazy stuff. But man, you're just, you know, it's duck hunt. Like, shoot at me, I'm up here. You know, especially when people fly at me like that in PvP, it's just like, oh, target practice, you know, so.
Yeah, that's why I was going to blink, because I felt like I was a sitting duck up there.
Yeah, she always said when I played my Warlock, it was like skeet shooting me before.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to know when to do it, when not to do it. It takes some... I know I got PvP and got killed a couple times because I was just hovering in the air and I'm like, oh boy, I'm a target. But there's other times where I'll pop over something, shoot them, and then just let my jump drop me down below it. If I did it just right, I took out 2 guys and you know, from cover, basically from cover with that jump. It worked great.
Yeah, I did that over several Titan shields where I would kind of do this rainbow arc, and with that kind of hover as you're gliding, you could just spray at them as you're coming over them and down on top of them. That was kind of cool.
By the way, Red, I know you're a fusion rifle lover, and I know it's different now, but that is my new favorite power weapon in PvP. Man, I'm cutting people down like crazy with that thing.
That main ingredient.
That's the one.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool.
Man.
I'm surprised at how many people don't run for that power ammo the second it comes out. I like, you guys are crazy. I'm getting more than my share of power ammo because nobody's going for it.
Yeah, I noticed that every time I would go, or you know, we would go, there would only just be like 1 or 2 of us there, and I usually just always kind of grabbed it.
And I had the same experience with the grenade launcher. I'm missing something because it's just, I can't get it. It's crap.
Well, they said they're going to buff it. The thing that's also funny about Destiny 2 is it seems to kind of reward the teams that kind of hang back. You know, you let the other team charge B and then you take them out and you cap. When people go to the power ammo, you kind of hold back, let them go there first, and they've got that new mechanic where you can't pick it up when you're taking damage. So you let the other team go and try to pick it up, and you kill them, and then you grab it if they're there. So that's been an interesting mechanic as well.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting in trials, you know, for rezzing and stuff. A lot more Titans trying to pop shields over guys to be able to res them, probably.
So what did you guys think of the grenades? Did you feel like they were useful? I kind of like to use them to sort of take shields down, and then I'd pick them off.
Yeah, I couldn't get my trip mines to work, not like D1. You know, it was exactly like you said. Throw it on the wall, here comes a guy, boom, his shield might be taken all the way down. Might not, but yeah, they definitely don't pack the same punch they did previously. I got chased by some grapes, you know, and I was like, dear God, no, Axiom, and it hit me, and I was like, oh, okay. Dusted myself off and kept going.
Which, you know, I think the grenades work for for PvP. They're not, you know, I never had an issue with the dots. I never had an issue with the sticky grenades. Destiny 2 is more focused on the gunplay. I'm okay with that. I've learned to use the grenades to either lead someone, damage them as they're coming around a corner and finish them off with a shot, or use a grenade to clean them up when they're damaged. I think in PvE the the grenade damage is a huge problem, which again goes back to the separation of PvP versus PvE. And the other thing to me that I've kind of been disappointed with is the melee and the changes they've made there. I never had an issue with the Warlock having the super range because, to me, the Titan had the best melee in the game. I got exponentially more PvP kills with the Titan than any other class. I mean, probably not even close. I almost never got Warlock melee kills or Hunter kills. On the Titan, I could stop a fucking Blade Dancer coming in with the I can't remember it, Storm Fist. So, you know, now it's like you go into Destiny 2 and I can't melee anyone to save my life. Like, everyone's got like these Tyrannosaurus arms. Like, you have to actually be like making out with someone to fucking melee them.
Dude, that's so funny you've had success in D1 with that, because I almost feel like the way you just described in D1 with my Titan. I always made the joke, like, I go to melee someone and I just reach over and scratch my left shoulder. Like, there's just, I had so many whiffs, but maybe that's because I mained Warlock so much, I was so used to that range, and, you know, my timing was off or something, but yeah. I even have an illustration I did once out of frustration. I've said how I feel as my Titan in PvP, and it's my Titan with these little, you know, tiny little puppet arms.
Tyranno arms. That's
exactly.
Funny. Yeah, I don't know why. I've never heard anyone else like feel the same way as me, but I just always felt like the Titan had the best melee when you actually could connect. I mean, yeah, they didn't have the range, but it just seems so much more powerful to me. And like I said, Blade Dancer, there's so many times I've shut down a Blade Dancer in D1 with the Storm Fist and just sat there and laughed, knowing that they were probably throwing their controller through a wall, that I've never done on any of the other classes. So I think that, yeah, the grenades, to what you were saying, RWG, I think that a lot of this stuff works for what Destiny 2 PvP is. You know, the cooldowns, everything else. It's made it to where it's, you know, it's a different game, but it's a lot more competitive, I think, for everyone. But that said, you know, the effect on PvE, you know, that's the rub.
Well, I think it's smart of them to start us all kind of low, you know, and they'll be able to actually buff things to get things going on. I'm sure we're gonna not be the same kind of, feel the same way, and I'm still kind of baffled that we're playing like this old style and not actually what the game is going to be like. To me, I don't really understand that, but you know, if it doesn't work out, if it works out that we're going to be like this really low, slow, you know, grenade kind of just not really doing much, and supers not really doing much, and taking a long time for supers, and we're going to be pecking away with, you know, primaries, I just think it's just going to be really boring and repetitive. I mean, I'm not as excited for D2 as I thought I would be because of those reasons. And so hopefully they recognize that for PvE, that's a big thing. You know, I need to go in and be like all space magic and do all kinds of crazy stuff and have fun and feel like I'm actually progressing in a strength way, you know, like I'm actually able to overcome some of these enemies. But if it's just going to be sit back and pick stuff off because I have to wait for a super, and I know my grenades aren't going to clear out a bunch of those dogs, that's just not going to be, you know, that's just not where I feel like, you know, Destiny should be. But you know, it's not up to me, and obviously they're really focused on PvP and these changes, and Josh Hamrick said it to us at the reveal that they really want us to have the same sort of experience in PvP and PvE. They want it to be the same. They want our levels to be the same. They want things to respond the same so that there's not a lot of differences between the two. And they purposely don't want to separate PvP and PvE. And if that's the case, and we all have to sort of be underpowered and slowed down because it's too chaotic for PvP, I think it's a big mistake. And I think a lot of the people who are PvE oriented, you know, like I am really, I mean, I like PvP and I'll play it, But I was hoping that with D2 and all of the new things that they said they were going to bring out, for PvE, that I would be mostly playing PvE and not PvP. And it just seems like if this is going to be how it's going to go down all the time, well, we're just going to be, at the mercy of PvP and how it balances out for all the PvP people, then I just, I don't know what to say about it. I mean, it really did suffer a lot in D1. People did adjust. But, I didn't like it when we lost our green ammo, and I didn't like it when we lost less bullets, and I didn't like, how it was affecting, me in a raid. And that's when I needed all those things, and it was being all reduced because people couldn't handle the shotguns or the snipers in D1. So, it's going to be really interesting to see how they balance this out going forward. And, I'm excited to see the different content that they bring. But, man, I'll tell you, if it's going to be like this, the cost of PvE for this PvP balance that they're constantly trying to go for, I don't know. I just don't see how it's going to be entertaining for PvE.
Well, I think the other thing that touches on is that in D1, we started out so powerful, and where was there to go when you had weapons like Vex and Thunderlord and the OG Suros and the OG Mida, Thorn? There was nowhere to go but backwards. I mean, they couldn't make us more powerful, and so they were they put themselves in a corner. And I always thought that that was maybe a function of them cutting up whatever the original Destiny was going to be, and we ended up getting weapons in vanilla that were maybe intended further down the line in whatever that original game was. But I think in D2, it's being set up to where the power creep won't be going backwards, where we can actually get more powerful as the game progresses. But, it's, turning off, I think, a lot of people with where it's at now that played D1, and, all of a sudden you feel yourself less powerful. Again, playing a game where you had the Mayhem Clash and Infinite Supers, and now it's once every millennia, and so it's a very difficult thing. I know that they've taken a lot of heat from the beta. I know that they've said it's a very old build, but I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed the campaign mission immensely. It was that was another shock to me, because I was expecting what we played at the reveal event, and it turned out we just played just the middle section of this campaign. So there was a big lead up, and there was a lot after ours ended in this one. I thought the campaign was phenomenal. I personally have enjoyed the strike. I like running it. The boss is 100% a bullet sponge. It takes too long. I enjoy the rest of it. But I think the other area they've kind of dropped the ball with this is not giving us at least that section of Nessus to patrol. And they could have had it walled off where we couldn't go see the whole thing. But I think that initial area should have been available for patrol, because there's so much that a lot of players haven't seen. There's the silent event with the enemy moving against each other, with the Fallen going against the Cabal. There are new Fallen classes there. Mylan Games put up a pretty cool video today speculating on who the new Fallen House is, because I'd heard people speculating that maybe it has something to do with the Queen because they have a purple banner. He was giving his take on that. And that's freaking awesome. All the enemies there drop purple. It just rains purple. There are the gates that spawn that will shoot you around. That is at a fast travel. Some people think it's going to be what ends up opening up the lost sector there. And it's something you don't experience playing through on the strike, because your teammates run off and you can hang back, but they pull you through, and so you don't get to play it. And so they should have, and it's 100% a patrol area, because there will be other fire teams in there with you. So they should have had that open as a patrol area. It would have allowed players to experience that content. And beyond that, as you were saying, RWG, there's no place to really, have a time to test out your super and learn it. And you could have sat there on patrol and built up your super, and you could have played around with your Sentinel. You could have played around with your Arc Strider and learned these things and gotten more in depth in the weapons themselves. And I think that's been a mistake too, not having that.
Souls, did you get to patrol that area? Me and a couple of us, we went in there and then we just explored. We didn't even do the strike. We spent a good hour. I mean, and it's a good amount of area. That we even found a giant triangular door that it goes up this spiral type thing, and we got to it, and it's just like the entrance to the Gatekeeper Atheon chamber, like the big triangular door that splits in half. So you can go all over the place and find some really cool stuff. We found some caves. We went spelunking down into some crevices, and it's just all kinds of cool stuff, and it's beautiful, really beautiful.
What's funny is we actually found that at the reveal event, that door that's like the Atheon door, and RedWingGirl and I got lost with our teammate and didn't know that those platforms spawned. So we were over there trying to follow the marker, and we were thinking we needed to go up on that tower, and we were lost for like 20 minutes at the reveal event, because we couldn't talk to each other because you didn't have the headsets. So yeah, we've gone back over there. We glitched you can glitch in underneath it there. We did that and ran around that little unfinished area underneath it. I did the enemy moving against each other for a little while yesterday, was killing the new Fallen, and I have not done the portals. I'm hoping we can get in after we record today and kind of explore a little more. But yeah, unless you're with a fire team of 3, though, it's just so hard to do, because again, if you go in on your own, as soon as your teammates cross a certain threshold, it just pulls you through, so you're just kind of screwed.
It's pretty fun, though. We did it a few times. You just kind of keep looping around and around. At one point, I think you hit 3 or 4 portals in a row without coming down. It just kicks you from one to the next, but it kind of just dead ends. So that probably is the way to open that Lost Sector door, I bet.
Yeah, I think it was Milan was saying that every time you go through, he's saying you could do 2 laps through it, and your controller's like vibrating, so something's going on. And he was saying, I think if you kill the enemies that are there at each portal, it increases the duration of it.
Yeah, and the enemies change. You get a different named Minotaur that pops up, as well as the Hobgoblins, I believe they were. Can't remember.
What'd you think of the new Fallen?
Oh, they're really cool. Really, really cool. I already want to draw some. So it's very inspirational.
So as an artist, Destiny 2, the one thing, people have their opinions on the gameplay. There's been a lot of negativity to various aspects of the balancing or changes that they've made. But I think what's been universally agreed upon is how beautiful Destiny 2 looks. As an artist, what's been your take on what they've done progressing from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2?
Yeah, totally, man. Like, the aesthetics in Destiny 2 are just phenomenal. I love that it makes me feel like I'm in a different place, like the red foliage and different things. It's just truly beautiful. And as an artist, I take a shit ton of screen caps. Like, I'll frame it exactly like I'm trying to make a wallpaper, or I love it. Like Destiny 1, I think I have around 3,000 screen caps, which is cool because it's like the story of my Destiny career. It starts with beta pictures, and it goes through everything. I screen capped every single, exotic drop, every single, what I thought was cool, everything. So I think it's just downright gorgeous. And another thing I do is I go in and I take reference photos, of a certain weapon or a certain boss. I've got a really cool one of the Goliath guys jumping at me with their meat cleavers, and I've got my shotgun pointed up at one. And it's actually my PS4 wallpaper right now, but I'm going to take that and put it in stream and draw that exact pose from that guy. So yeah, it's just cool to take reference photos, and I think the aesthetics in Destiny 2 are just phenomenally beautiful. I mean, they really did a good job. Funny side note about the farm. the guy that was running our, you know how when you had to wait in line at the reveal and you went to play PvP, they had the little like 8 dock sections, you know, and each section had a Bungie employee kind of circling around it. Well, the guy that was running mine, every Bungie employee I met, I just asked him what they did exactly at Bungie. Well, I met this kid. He couldn't have been more than 22 or something. And he was a landscape artist, and he told me that the farm was his baby. He modeled everything. He textured it. He was like, that is my baby. And what's funny is Bungie hadn't released the name The Farm yet. And I recall from our conversation that he said, you know, the farm, and then he looked at me and said, yeah, that farm-looking area. It was almost like he tried to play it off, like he wasn't supposed to say it. Yeah. And in hindsight, looking back, I'm like, holy shit, they hadn't like said anything about that. He told me that he did the farm, like that was his baby. So running there today, I couldn't help but think about that guy in our conversation and looking around, like, you did a damn good job, bro. You know, like it's just
it's really cool.
That's pretty awesome, and that was something that at that reveal event that was so incredible, was that it was the actual people that made the game. You know, they didn't bring in just, you know, hire a bunch of kids to go lead us to these stations. It was the developers. I went to play the campaign.
Everyone.
And I asked him, I'm like, you know, what do you do? And it was like the lead like art guy for the campaign mission. You know, he's like, you know, this is my level, and he's the one that's sitting me down and leading me to play this game. And it's like, holy shit. You know, Josh Hamrick was over there at the PvP.
Dude, I'm watching the PC area, right, just walking around. I get tapped on the shoulder, and I'm wearing my Raidy Bunch shirt there, and I have my Raid like wipe symbol Battleborn hat on. And the guy looks at me, and he's a Bungie employee, and he goes, hey, man, I just want to say I like people that are raid coordinated. And I was like, huh? And he points to my shirt, and I was like, oh, yeah. And he introduced himself as Joe, and I'm talking to him. He's like one of the lead raid developers. And I'm just sitting here talking to this guy about raids and you know, trying to squeeze him for info on the upcoming one, but nothing.
Did you get it?
But it's just
nothing?
Cool. No, nothing, man. Bungie is so tight-lipped. Like, they must sign these blood contracts or something when they go in. But I've made a bunch of friends, actually, a good handful that I keep in contact through Twitter and things. I tag them in a lot of my posts. Matter of fact, one guy, I just mailed it off yesterday or the day before, is a package to a buddy of mine, Dylan. He's the head of, like, the Bungie Help.
Dylan. He's awesome.
Yeah, he is. You probably met him at the at the hotel. That's where I first met him, and we were already interacting before that. But he really liked my Oryx that I just did on the tan paper, and I told him I'd send him a print. And the more I thought about it, you know, I told him, I said, give me your address. Well, he gives me Bungie's address. He's like, I'm going to hang it up here, and starts explaining. I was like, dude, so I'm sending him the original just so I can say I have an original piece hanging up at Bungie. So,
nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Dylan is funny.
Had to.
We when we went in, you know, we went and, you know, the initial reveal ended, and RWG and I went and got something to eat. You know, we're not in a flock in, you know, so we go and we walk in. We didn't see like the lines or anything, so we go in and we ended up over by the station with the strikes. And so Mesa Sean's sitting there, and so we're talking to Mesa for a few minutes and watching him run the strike, because he was like the first one to sit down and run it. And so we're like, you know, there's no lines there. We're like, how do you get on and play? So we see, you know, a Bungie employee that ended up being Dylan, and so we're talking to him, and he's trying to help us get on a station, because at that point they're still trying to figure out how it's all working. And so he's like, we'll get you on this one. And so we were to get on this other station, and then someone else came over and said, oh no, we're putting this group on. So we ended up getting bumped. It was no fault of Dylan's, but, you know, he's sitting there trying to help us out and get us on, and, you know, we're talking to him, and he's got all this stuff going on. And so, like, he was like just uber cool to us, right? We ran into Dylan at the after party at the Sheraton, and he's like thanking us for being so patient with him, and we talked to him for a little bit there, and just the nicest dude. And so when I got back to St. Louis after, I messaged Cosmo, and I'm like, you know, trying to figure out who it was and describing him, and ended up, you know, he's like, oh yeah, that's Dylan, it's like A_damage or whatever on Twitter. And so ended up following him on there, and we've been kind of interacting back and forth on there. He's super cool. Like him, like Hamrick, we interacted with a lot there. Like Hamrick's like the most down to earth, like just the coolest guy. Just I don't know. We didn't get to meet Lars. That bummed me out. But I don't know if well, you probably didn't hear our cast. We had a really unique experience when we got there. The day we got there, we went out to dinner with Cosmo at the little restaurant Eureka right there by the event. And so we're having dinner with Cosmo, and as we're sitting there eating, a gentleman walks up and he introduces us to him, and he says, "Oh, this is Pete Parsons." So Pete sat down with us for about 45 minutes, and we had dinner and drinks with Pete and Cosmo talking Destiny. So it was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, they're awesome guys. I was fortunate enough to we met at the Hard Rock. It was Deej, Cosmo at Guardian Con. I think it was Friday night. But yeah, had drinks. They're pretty fun when they get some drinks in them. Those guys.
Yeah, RWG was having to kind of babysit Deej a little bit at the after party.
No, I wasn't. He was just waving his driver's license and his credit card around, and I'm like, dude, you need to put that back in your wallet. You're gonna lose it.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. They're like I said, you can see it doesn't really come across, I think, to a lot of the community how passionate they are about the game, and just how down to earth, and just how much they care about the community. And it's something that we try to convey, and hopefully we manage to a little bit. But yeah, just such good people, such good people. So we brought up the farm. What's been everyone's experience at the farm today? And I'm watching RWG still running around the farm right now.
Just exploration, like discovering cool stuff, like, oh, look at this over here, going through the old dingy house looking thing. We immediately, the first thing we did was went to that spinning water wheel thing and jumped up on top of the house, and then went across the power lines a couple times to the other big house. I didn't continue on the small ones, the teeny lines, but yeah, made for a good view.
What about you, Tim? What do you think about the whole farm experience?
Well, it was interesting, not actually having NPCs there and interacting and all that. You're just kind of getting a feel for the area. But obviously it's really big, and there's a lot of spots they can put in different NPCs, a lot of places for Xur to hide. So a lot of places to climb around. So I can see you do spend a lot of time waiting for people to get their gear or whatever. So with the soccer and climbing around, I guess should keep you pretty busy. But it was a lot more stuff to look at than in the tower, so it was pretty interesting. It was fun.
RWG, what do you think about the whole experience? And I'm watching you standing on the rooftop, peering out at the beautiful, beautiful vista with the Shard of the Traveler in the distance right now.
Yeah, I just think it's beautiful. I think the water looks real. It's just unbelievable how the art is in the tower. Well, I keep calling it the tower. It's the farm, but you know what I mean. It's just so pretty.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Like, the new engine is just phenomenal. You immediately noticed it. That's the big thing I tell people from the D2 reveal when we're all sitting there sweating our asses off in that audience. When we're watching the CGI animation and the whole story build up, when it kicked into gameplay, I got the craziest chills like I've ever experienced, and all you could do was just scream like when it went to gameplay. It was just so gorgeous, the rain, all that. And I'm with you too, Souls. Like, when I played the currently on the beta, I noticed, I was like, wait a minute, did I play this part? Like, I kept like second guessing myself, like, yeah, wait, I don't remember this. Well, maybe I did, but I don't remember it. But yeah, it was completely different. Like, you got the full experience. So
the other thing we were doing on the farm is trying to find where everything's going to be. So we found Dead Orbit, and we looked around and tried to find the new Monarchy and Future War Cult, and couldn't. But then we found like the cliffs above where we watched a player actually glitch up to one where if you just stepped off the edge, it would kill you. But you actually climbed a tree which going to the movement we discussed earlier, I haven't heard anyone bring up the wall climb that they've added in D2, which is so pretty cool. Damn cool. So we're at the part of the program where we want to get to everyone's favorite moments playing Destiny or Destiny 2 of the last week or so. So Tim, start with you. What's been your favorite Destiny experience?
Well, previous to the beta coming out, I finally got all my Wrath of the Machine raid gear for my hunter, so that was an accomplishment. So I can now move on. But for the beta, I mean, just just having the beta come out and being able to play around with that inside there, even though it was less content than I was hoping for. Just I don't know if I can pick out one experience, but just being able to play with it has been a blast.
Yeah, I would say one of my favorite experiences with the beta is with my clan when we have a full fire team. Control has always been our game, even on Destiny 1, but in Destiny 2, we went on a 2+ hour tear undefeated on Control. Like it was bad. It was like 75-40 at times, or even shacks with "I've seen enough." That happened a few times, but that's been my funnest experience, I think. And I really like the new PvP map they did, Control.
Yeah, the map is cool. What's your favorite things you've seen that you want to draw first out of Destiny 2?
I would say, like we were talking about previously, some of the new enemies, the new Fallen. I just saw a picture recently that I just screen capped on, someone posted on Instagram that I hadn't seen, of one of the probably new Fallen captains, but he was pretty sick looking, so I really wanted to draw him. I took a screen cap when I was dead of a Cabal guy. He came flying over to where I was at, but he had this really cool kind of stance, the way he was holding this gun. It was a great pose, so I screen capped that, so I'm probably going to end up drawing that. So yeah, all the new enemies, the new weapons are really cool. There's just... Yeah, it's a plethora of stuff. I mean, it's infinite. That's why, like, every commission, I can always, it's never the same. It's 100% different every single drawing, because, it's boots and chests and guns and this pose and this, it's always different. It's so vast, the universe of Destiny, so.
What about you, RWG? I know that you have had a different experience with the beta than I have, but what's been your favorite moment playing Destiny the last week or so?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I think the farm is cool. I really like it. I think it's peaceful, and I like the background, sounds that are coming out of it. It's very nature oriented, and I kind of like that. But I was really, really crabby after playing this beta, and it's kind of left a really bad taste in my mouth, and I'm just trying to be a little restrained because I realize it's a beta, and I'm not expecting anything spectacular, but they have to do some stuff to correct some of this stuff that I don't like, especially for PvE. But the rest of it, I do like the PvP maps. I do like the playstyle, but again, I'm disappointed in losing the 6 player. I did play the competitive one, and I know there's been a lot of people complaining about a lot of people quitting out, like if they get the first point. But I think if they address that or fix it in some way, that people won't do that as much. I think those things are going to be kind of cool. The one thing I didn't ask you guys about is your opinion on having quick play be CBMM and having the competition area SBMM. What were your thoughts on that?
Good luck. I hope it works. Because they bounce back and forth in Destiny 1, so who knows. It's going to be a crazy little ride. Even though everyone says, we played a 3-year beta, here comes the game that they wanted to give us, which is partially true. There's still going to be complaints about people getting murked with Nurgle and this and that, and they're still going to have to cater to people. You remember the grind of the year 1 of Destiny. The new players don't realize how easy they have it buying materials at the tower. That it's just crazy, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of buffing.
Well, also in the farm RWG, we went over to the soccer field and I watched you kick the ball like past the goal, and I kind of told you to get good and said we finally found something that you don't dominate at, and then we proceeded to 1v1 in the soccer, and you kicked my ass up one side and down the other, so I was wrong there.
Yeah, that's like
The
pretty fun.
The rockets were cool after the goals that launched up in the air.
Talking about the graphics, I mean, if you're sitting here and I'm looking at it, there's the little white spores or whatever you call it, just the floating around, which they can do with the better graphic engine now.
Yeah, the particle effects.
Yeah, I was at a park yesterday doing a Bricks for Kids. We had our booth at a movie event, and there were these little things floating around in the air. I mean, it looked exactly the same. So, I mean, I got to hand it to them for the job they're doing.
And what about you, Souls? What's been your favorite moment?
I've loved the hand cannons in Destiny 2, but I loved them at the reveal event, so that was just kind of a continuation. The Arc Strider has just been a revelation. That's something I just never expected again to go into this and find that that's the class that I want to play. But that 1v1ing on the soccer field today was just tears rolling down my face laughing. It was so much fun out there doing that. PvP, I played with TKL, Mayhem, and Big Tex the other day on Control, and like you said, Cobb, we only played I think 6 games or so, but just never lost one, just decimating everyone, and it was pretty fun. TKL, the Kung Lao, is just the absolute freaking Destiny 2 PvP god. He actually got off 2 supers in a Control match, which I've not heard of anyone else doing.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, I don't know how, but yeah, he's rolling the Arc Strider and he got off 2 in a Control match. But yeah, he was just tearing it up. But I think that probably my favorite moment of the last week was RWG. You and I had a Trials Lighthouse attempt, and Yunk, again, who unfortunately wasn't able to make it here today, tried to take us to the Lighthouse, and it wasn't for a lack of effort on your part. I think the two of you were carrying me through. I was not holding up my end of the bargain, but we got I think we got to maybe 6 wins on our card before we lost, but it was fun. And we had one game where we were down the first or second game, down 4-0 and came back and won, which I think you cleaned up with a super at the end to give us the victory. So that was pretty cool. I got the Hunter Cloak, and you ended up getting a God Roll Blind Perdition. So that overall was probably my favorite of the last week or so.
Yeah, I finally got that Blind Perdition. I love that gun.
Yeah, so yeah, that was fun. So, I'm just ready for Destiny 2 and to see, obviously there's a lot of things that they've already said they're correcting, a lot of things that they haven't, but they need to address. And we still haven't seen what 95% of this game is probably for PvE. So, we haven't seen the lost sectors, we haven't seen patrol, we really haven't seen the different worlds. You can sit there in the farm, and supposedly it's going to be an area where you can just walk into the farm off patrol, and there's that gate there. So I hope that the invisible ceilings are higher, the invisible walls are less, and there's a lot more exploration. But yeah, I'm ready for it. So yeah, we will see. So Tim of Tacoma, glad you were able to join us here again today, and very very last minute fill in and be a guest again and talk a little Destiny and Destiny 2 with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I always love hanging with you guys and being able to interact with the community. So thank you.
And Kob, like I said, it was really cool to actually get to sit here and talk Destiny, actually knowing each other, because again, we met, we talked, and what you've got going on is something really unique and so cool, and just hope that people will tune in and really want to see your channel continue to grow. And like I said, you sit there in your stream and all the people that go in, talking about how they draw and asking you questions and watching how you interact. It's something pretty special.
Man, thanks. I appreciate it. I really do. And I appreciate you guys and having me on here. And yeah, it was really cool to know in hindsight that we had met personally, so that was really cool, a cool discovery, if you will. But yeah, I truly appreciate it. I appreciate our phenomenal community. It is nothing but love. At Guardian Con, it was nothing but love. There wasn't one person where I could think back and say, man, that person was pretty douchey. No, every single person, it was nothing but love. And I love our community. That's why I continue to draw and provide. I want people to see my art, and I want people to get inspired by it. And every time, a younger kid or someone messages me and says, I was going to quit, but I saw your stuff and it made me pick up a pen and pencil and get going and drawing again, that just gets me in the feels every time, and it makes it all worth it. And I just enjoy it. I love Destiny, and I'm looking forward to Destiny 2 like everyone else. And thanks again.
Well, I'm looking forward to see all the cool drawings that you're going to do on all these new characters and all the new armor. It's going to be really interesting to see how you draw all that kind of stuff out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
So, RWG, as always, I'm very thankful for this opportunity every week to be here with you and have these community guests on and talk Destiny and just share this experience and get to know all these just amazing people and hear these stories about this game we all love.
You too, Souls.
Everyone out there listening on SoundCloud, on iTunes, watching on YouTube, reading, participating on the Bungie.net forums, appreciate all of you and all your support for the Destiny Truthcast. And if you would like to join us here and talk a little Destiny, just reach out to RedWingGirl or myself and let us know, because we'd love to hear more about you and get to know more voices behind the gamer tags we see on the forums every week, and talk a little Destiny and Destiny 2. So until next week, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the weekend and a wonderful night.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
That's a wrap.